I made a hot Cheetos brisket and it was pretty good.
Hey, that's pretty good.
But I think a hot Cheetos pork butt is gonna taste even better. And I know this will be the case because I'm gonna use everything I learned from making the hot Cheetos brisket to make the ultimate pulled pork hot Cheetos sandwich. So let's get to it. Okay, so in the prep phase, there are two things that I learned from the hot Cheetos brisket that is gonna make an immediate impact straight off the bat. So the first thing is I am not going to cut the meat in half. So I mainly cut the hot Cheetos brisket in half because I wanted to save money, but it ended up cooking a lot faster than I wanted, which ended up giving it a lot less smoke flavor on the brisket and also kind of dried out the flat a little bit. So this time I'm gonna keep the pork butt in one single piece, and if it ends up terrible, then I guess I wasted my time and my money. So the second mistake I made in the brisket video was the binder. So in that video, I just went straight up with red dye as a binder, and I think that was a huge mistake. The dye was super sticky and it made a lot of the rub stick to my gloves instead of the meat. And because it was so thick, I think it acted as a barrier to not allow the smoke to penetrate the meat well. So this time I'm using hot sauce as a binder, and I'm just adding a few drops of red food dye to maintain that signature red hot Cheetos look. So this shoulder is ready for the rub. So I made this jar of seasoning from scratch following Mythical Kitchen's recipe, and I'll have all the ingredients listed in the description below. So now the butt is ready to throw on my old country Pecos at 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Do you guys remember like a decade ago when the origin story of Hot Cheetos went viral? Well, if you don't remember, the story goes that Hot Cheetos was invented by a janitor named Richard Montañez, and he worked for Frito-Lay. Well, while making this video, I looked it up, and apparently Frito-Lay has disputed this story. They claim that the Flamin Hot Cheetos recipe was invented by a team that did not include Mr. Montañez, although he was a director in the company. So what's the truth behind the Hot Cheetos lore? Honestly, I don't know, and I got tired of researching. But since the creation of Hot Cheetos, there has been so many different iterations of the Flamin' Hot flavor on chips. My favorite flavor has to be the classic Hot Cheetos, but let me know in the comments what your favorite flavor is. So the Hot Cheetos brisket was coming along nicely and showing all of the signs that it was ready to wrap. So I went ahead and wrapped it and stuck it in the Traeger. And while that finishes up, I'm gonna make a coleslaw to help complement this ultimate barbecue hot Cheetos sandwich. Now, another thing that the Hot Cheetos brisket I made previously lacked was texture. Because one of the best parts of Hot Cheetos is that nice crunch. So I wanted to make this slaw as late in the cook as possible because I didn't want the cabbage to get soggy. And also to help with the crunch, it seems that someone in my family has left my bag of coleslaw in the back of the fridge and it froze over, so hopefully this won't be a disaster and it'll be a happy accident. So to a bowl, I'm adding in 1 cup of Greek yogurt, 3 tablespoons of maple syrup. So usually I use honey when I make coleslaw, but I'm using maple syrup today because I don't want to have to warm up the honey, and maple syrup is very liquidy. A couple tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, and 1 tablespoon of hot Cheeto seasoning. So another thing I learned when I made the hot Cheetos brisket is that the flavor of the hot Cheeto seasoning on the meat after it's been exposed to the smoke kind of mellows out. So I'm gonna add some of this hot Cheeto seasoning to just give it more of that flavor. Then mix that all together and then fold in your coleslaw mix. There's still ice in it. And also for this pulled pork sandwich, I'm going to need sauce. So I just mixed in that hot sauce that I used as a binder earlier with some barbecue sauce and some of that hot Cheeto seasoning. Good. Okay, so let's get this thing opened up and make the ultimate hot Cheeto sandwich. Man, this thing is beautiful. It has a nice dark bark, but at the same time, it has a hint of that hot Cheeto red. Let's go ahead and grab a piece of this. Oh. Wow. See some of the bark. Pro tip for my barbecue people out there, the pitmaster always gets the money muscle. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. So I have some Hawaiian sweet buns, the hot Cheetos pulled pork, some of that sauce I made, coleslaw, and finally some hot Cheetos to top it off. So here's our beautiful sandwich. All right, I'll let you guys get the first bite. Quick time, guys. First bite gang. Nice. All right, here goes. Cheers. That is so good. There's not a single thing I would change about this recipe. Bros, it wouldn't even be fair to try to compare that to the brisket I made before. I absolutely knocked it out of the park with this one. Wow. You guys have to give this one a try. And if you enjoy this type of experimental barbecue content, then you are going to love my Rich Man's Brisket experiment, which is on your screen right now.